It is rare in someone's career or life when they get to do something that is this close to their heart and their passion, and get to impact so many people. And I know that everybody on my team feels the exact same way. And I will tell you, it's rare that you get to be part of a company like our company, AT&T, that is willing to take on a mission like this.
Using applications running on reliable networks, societies around the world today conduct business, navigate their roads, take pictures, and watch video on innovative mobile devices. And yet, there's a sector in our communities that's been left behind in this communications revolution, a group you might think needs this technology the most. That group? Police, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. Today, across the U.S., first responders rely on 50-year-old technology, using outdated radios operating on more than 10,000 disparate networks, oftentimes unable to communicate with one another. I'm Emmett Miller. Join us as we explore AT&T and FirstNet, the public-private partnership that's bridging the technological divide, serving our country's public safety community with the first wireless broadband network dedicated to America's first responders.
The World Trade Center is on fire. The whole outside of the building was just a huge explosion.
September 11, 2001. America was under attack. First responders jumped into action in heroic fashion.
I was walking toward the Trade Center when the buildings fell, and then you see things that you never forget, you know.
Ted Dempsey is a retired lieutenant from the New York City Police Department. We met with him and retired NYPD Sergeant Jerry Kane at Ground Zero, the National September 11th Memorial and Museum in New York City.
It's the first time I've actually been to the memorial. I've walked past it, you know, and I've said, I gotta stop, I wanna look for some names. And I'd be like, nah, I don't think I can do it, you know.
So when you see it now, what does it bring back for you?
Well,
what does it mean for you?
It means that we're trying to remember the people who went into that building knowing that they could perish, but they did it anyway. I mean, guys that I had known for years, guys from high school. It's just, you know, it's tough.
Like many of their fallen brothers and sisters and thousands of other first responders, Jerry and Ted tried to save lives at the World Trade Center on that day. But with so many emergency personnel on the scene, communications became a major challenge.
We got help from almost every surrounding community within 100 miles sent personnel that day. Well, they came, they had no infrastructure to support them, they were on the wrong frequencies and wrong channels, they just were here operating in a communications dead zone.
So it was a real interoperability problem that was taking place.
Gigantic.
Yeah.
There was no interoperability. There was no interoperability.
In the wake of the tragedy, the September 11th Commission was set up to assess the attacks and the immediate response. After a year-long investigation, the Commission issued its report. One of the key recommendations, allocate radio spectrum for a dedicated, interoperable public safety network. And in 2012, Congress passed legislation allocating 20 megahertz of high-quality Band 14 spectrum for public safety communications and creating the independent First Responder Network Authority, known as FirstNet. Its task? Solve the communications problems associated with the September 11th response by overseeing the deployment of America's first nationwide broadband network dedicated to public safety.
It's my honor to announce this morning the public-private partnership between FirstNet and AT&T to build this network.
AT&T's award from FirstNet in March of 2017 was an historic agreement. This 25-year contract represents a much-needed investment in America's communications infrastructure to support public safety and protect communities nationwide.
We don't view it as a contract or a project. This is a mission for everybody.
Chris Sambar is AT&T's Senior Vice President of FirstNet, responsible for executing the company's FirstNet contract. A veteran Navy SEAL, Sambar brings a personal devotion to the mission.
We made a huge commitment, and we didn't commit to some small project or some contract here. We committed the entire brand of AT&T to be the future for public safety communications for the 25 years life of this program for the entire country. So literally, and I can't overstate it, every American is counting on us to do this job correctly, to perform the mission the way it's supposed to be performed, so the first responders can communicate effectively. When first responders communicate effectively, they work more efficiently, they save lives. This is vitally important to all of us, and it's a huge mission that we've put our brand on top of.
Just 5 months after AT&T received the FirstNet award, Hurricane Harvey landed in southern Texas. One of the most catastrophic weather events in U.S. history, Harvey dumped 40 inches of rain in the Houston area in 4 days and caused unprecedented flooding.
Welcome to Harris County's radio network operations centers.
We traveled to Harris County, Texas, home to the city of Houston and the third largest police force in the country. It's a county that prides itself on being a pioneer in public safety technology.
Each of these is an individual site, and the green is traffic between the sites?
That's correct. That's correct.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's impressive that you can track it to that level of detail.
We joined Chris Sambar and Xing Lin, the Harris County Chief Technology Officer for Public Safety Services, for a tour of their Network Operations Center. This was the beating heart of the county's emergency response during the 2017 storm season and Hurricane Harvey.
And there's a lot of lessons learned that we took out of that, and one of which is, having reliable networks really helped and allowed us to keep our rescue efforts going throughout the whole event, and that was really, really important.
As Harvey ravaged Harris County and as the floodwaters rose, AT&T provided just that kind of support, delivering on its legacy of enabling public safety communications during times of crisis. It's examples like this that have showcased the company's capabilities to agencies across the country and points to the future success of FirstNet.
What sets AT&T apart from other companies in the way that they dealt with a storm like this?
AT&T has a really wide reach, and knowing that they had the knowledge and the ability to deliver is important. Having a single partner that we can go to say, hey, this is our problem, we need it to be resolved shortly, can you help us out? That really helps.
That is our culture. It absolutely is. We are at our best when the best matters.
Scott Mayer, President, AT&T Operations. His organization oversees the building of the company's wireless and wireline network. And with the FirstNet contract, that means overseeing the largest network build in the company's history.
Has this actually become, in the minds of AT&T people, something larger than they thought it would be to begin with?
It's a lot larger than AT&T. It's something for public service, and it's about taking care of people at their point in need and taking care of first responders at their point in need, delivering the mission for those they serve, right? So it's a much bigger effort than building a network or one single event. It's about building a legacy of public service and public safety in the U.S. that's never been done before.
And as part of that unprecedented pursuit, Mayer's team of network technicians are on the ground executing on the company's aggressive 5-year plan to deploy the dedicated Band 14 public spectrum. And while this network will revolutionize interoperable communications among agencies and across jurisdictions, it'll also serve all AT&T customers, allowing them to use the new spectrum when it's not needed by first responders. It's just one aspect of how the FirstNet build is improving the network for consumers and companies across the country.
So while we're building the FirstNet network, we're actually enhancing our commercial network. And we're doing it with what we call a single touch. It's a really efficient way to build a network. On a tower, one of the most expensive things is climbing that tower and hanging the equipment on it. So when I'm going to go out there for the FirstNet network, our teams are putting up radios for our commercial network. We're putting in additional spectrum, giving our customers more capacity. We're enabling speeds that otherwise wouldn't have been able to be built. So you have a good financial equation. We have the ability and the honor to build a FirstNet network for our first responders, and we get to improve our commercial service like never before. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. In my business, that's a trifecta.
And that bet will continue paying dividends beyond enhancements in speed and capacity. It'll also include increased coverage as AT&T expands its footprint into areas where it's traditionally been challenged, like rural areas.
Rural, as far as I know, that's something that Verizon's kind of had its paw on for a long time. What does this mean for AT&T versus the competition?
Yeah, so Verizon's always been strongest in rural, and our intent is that's not going to stay that way, right? We're going to go build out a lot of rural sites. We're going to be where people expect us to be in terms of coverage, and our first responder customers get the benefit, but so do our commercial customers.
And as Mayor's team continues to build out the assets, they're highly focused on the FirstNet mission, hardening the network with resilience and redundancy. It's all part of providing an ultra-reliable platform so first responders will have access to next-generation services.
With the FirstNet network, what we're seeing are applications being able to be used by police and fire and EMS workers.
Dan Biglin is an AT&T FirstNet principal consultant who meets with local public safety officials to explain the benefits of FirstNet for their communities. As a former EMT and a current volunteer fire captain in New Jersey, Dan understands firsthand how this technology can augment traditional radio communications, opening up a whole new world of innovative tools.
In the fire and EMS world, there's a whole host of applications that don't run on a radio, but do run on an LTE-enabled device. For myself, I can download geographic information, building schematics, aerial views of the fire incident. For EMS workers, it enables the ability to consult with an emergency room doctor live, where they view the patient and the treatment that they're receiving.
Of course, applications need devices on which to run. So AT&T will also be providing public safety personnel with specialized FirstNet devices.
Typically, they're ultra rugged. Our military spec designed and developed to withstand temperature variations, water, dust, vibrations. There's also a whole notion of wearables. There will be sensors that police officers will wear on their wrist. Firefighters will wear on their chest to monitor their heart rate, their respiration, their body temperatures.
These devices will be sold in AT&T retail stores across the country. With dedicated FirstNet customer support, the Digital Retail and Care Group is truly committed to supporting the FirstNet mission. It's a commitment you can feel across the company, and nowhere more passionate than with the FirstNet team.
As we built the team, it was really important to me to find people that were touched by the mission and understood the mission. And I will tell you, the vast majority of this team is made up of people. For example, our sales team is 60% of them are or were first responders.
It makes me feel like I'm back in uniform.
Ian Lamb works in AT&T's FirstNet sales operations. Prior to joining the company, Lamb was in law enforcement. It's that knowledge and insight into the first responder community that's critical in being able to provide FirstNet services to the over 70,000 public safety agencies across the country. And the momentum is building as AT&T has already signed up thousands of municipalities and local agencies.
I know these guys well, having been in their shoes. You do gain a lot of respect from that community, and with FirstNet being the first public-private partnership and AT&T being selected to provide the network, we really do feel like we're making an enormous difference.
And that sense of making a difference is felt by everyone in the company and beyond.
We have a long road ahead of us over the next 25 years, but I really do foresee it being exactly what public safety needs. It was built for public safety by public safety, and it'll continue to expand with whatever public safety needs. We'll continue to bring it to them.
My office building was directly across from the World Trade Center, and in the days following the 9/11 attack, you would look out the window and you would see all of the men and women who were working on the pile and first responders line this ramp that led out of the pit. and they would stand there in silence as a flag-draped stretcher would bring a victim up to a waiting ambulance. 412 first responders lost their lives that day. FirstNet is going to fundamentally change the way the first responders communicate. But this isn't about network and spectrum. This is just the right thing to be doing for our company, for our first responders, and for our country.
No connection is more important than one that can save a life. And with FirstNet, AT&T is making that connection more powerful than ever. Bringing 21st century communications tools to America's first responders, AT&T is aligning the future with its 140-year history of serving the public safety community. It's a commitment to deliver the next generation of highly secure, reliable, and innovative mobile broadband technologies to millions of law enforcement, fire, and emergency medical personnel. A communications platform that'll enable a faster flow of information when it matters the most, helping first responders to make better decisions more quickly so disasters can be averted and lives can be saved. What do you have to say to AT&T employees right now who are tasked with the responsibility of developing this interoperable FirstNet communications network, this platform for first responders, and are giving their all to the cause?
Yeah, so what you do really, really, really matters. This is important stuff. When all these people are working better, it's not just the safety of the first responders, it's better response, it's more people saved. We probably saved 25,000 people here on 9/11. Maybe if everything was more efficient, maybe we could have saved more. Maybe we could have saved more. Maybe there'd be less names on that wall than there are there right now.